on the Spiritual Events Directory for the 28th of November 2019. Thank you very much for coming along and tuning in for the next little while we go through some things, talk about some things. We try to find some clarity, some purpose. Got a couple of books I want to go over with you, and also I want to change the way the Warrior Chronicles comes about. I want to change the way it looks, it does things. Yeah, when I set out to do the Warrior Chronicles a few months back, I had a very clear vision of what I wanted to do, and I feel like I've kind of strayed away a little bit from that. And Spirit's been a lot of fun, and they, like to interact and play, but I really want to get back to what I was doing and where my common goal was and what I wanted to do. So I think that bearing that in mind, I think we'll go back and do that and really bring the Warrior Chronicles back to what I intended it to be, which is a little bit of reading, a little bit of live readings and tuning in, but mostly Q&As and topics and just things, the way to empower and discuss topics, ways to learn about ourselves and cover different parts of our body. They can give you little hints and tips on where to look and what might be holding us back. So I've sort of have strayed away a little bit from what the Chronicles was all about, and I really want to get back that way. So hopefully you can support me through that process and we can have a lot of fun and learn about ourselves and each other along the way. So we'll see how that goes. Hi everybody, thank you for coming along. You can see you all popping up already. I dyed my hair pink. I know it doesn't look a lot pink, it's a lot of grey. But yeah, just a little bit pink, and I will be going a darker shade of pink in the next coming weeks as well, because I just want to have pink hair so bad, and I've put it off forever and a day. So a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about tonight. Drum roll please. My gratitude diary arrived. I cannot tell you how much I love this book. Seriously. I had been waiting for it to arrive in the post. I think I pretty much crash-tackled, you're not going to believe where I opened the book. I pretty much crash-tackled every Australia Post delivery driver within a hoo-hee of our street trying to get my book from them. And I have just opened it up at the healing, just to try to find it, at the healing page. All the way through the book, they've got these beautiful ideas on things and little triggers and thoughts and, wise ideas and wise topics and things that you can have a look at. It's also got spaces to write what you're grateful about, what you say yes to, what you're letting go in your life. And it's just, I've just opened it on my husband's birthday. How's that? It's a nice reminder not to forget his birthday, as if I ever would. Things like food is your body's fuel. Without fuel, your body wants to shut down. So it reminds us to look after ourselves. And I just love it, and it's beautifully made. It's just got this really nice material style cover on the front. It's just, look, I'm going to harp on about this because I seriously cannot wait to start using it. And I've got some appointments in there already for next year because it's jam-packed with all sorts of events and things like that. So, but I wanted to share that with you. If you haven't got your own gratitude diary, let Sarah know on Spiritual Events. Grab your own copy. You will not regret it. It's one of the most beautiful diaries I've ever seen in my life. And seriously, I've got a lot of them. But I really love it because it's just a handbag size. It's not too bulky. It's got a little bit of weight to it, okay, I'll be honest, but it's not a cheap knockoff. It's a really quality product. So I love it. So hopefully you will too. If you haven't got one, Spiritual Events, talk to Sarah. She'll be able to help you with that. What I did also want to do is talk to you about my new crystal, my new baby. Now, I have unveiled this about 3 or 4 times today on different lives, and I'm not sick of talking about her yet. This is the black quartz. And it's kind of like an celestial, kind of like a smoky. It's got lots of beautiful colors in there, lots of different changes. I've looked at it so many times since it arrived in the post, and I just see something different every single time. And it's really, I know that this crystal is going to fast become my crystal ball because it's just, I don't know. I know it's not a crystal ball and like my selenite or my other crystal balls, but it will just, you just got to have it in your hot little hand to realize what I'm talking about. Those of you that are crystal frequency people, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about just by looking at it. But it's got this whole energy. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. So it's been babysitting me all day long. It's for protection as well. So and I've actually got it with my celestial and my spirit quartz on the table here. So been playing with those. Had a little bit of a muck around with spirit earlier and stirred them up over a few things, and that was a bit fun. And they got even with me, so that was very interesting. That is my boy puppy. And I told him off before I came on live about barking and about howling. And the fire department, we've got a local fire department, and they, for some strange reason, seem to put their siren on at the same time every single day for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And he howls. Usually I have the window shut. Today I do not, it's a cheeky bugger. All right. So, let's have a look and see what's going on. I want to do a collective reading. I don't want to stop doing readings altogether. I want to be able to still do that, but I want to do it on a collective, okay? Because it takes, as I've explained at the beginning of the live, it takes me away of what I really want to do in the Warrior Chronicles, which was provide an advocate for self-growth, self-healing, taking you on a different journey, giving you ideas on stuff, opening up for questions and answers and those style of things away from the private rooms. I still do them. That's, you know, my love and passion is that, but I really like the one-on-one with the private reading. So once again, hopefully you can support that, and we'll have a lot of fun doing this. I'll still do readings and things like that for Astroscope straight after, okay? So it hasn't disappeared altogether, but I really want the Warrior Chronicles to come back to the self-growth and advocating for yourself. Yeah. All right. You're all here. Thank you very much. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Joe McPherson, how much? I would love one. My darling, I will pop the link. I have a link. After this video, when we're finished doing the live, I'll pop it on there and you'll be able to easily find it. So just have a look at this particular video when we're all said and done. And the link will be there. Sarah, if you're watching, can you please pop it up as soon as possible so everyone can have a look at the link for the diary? It's just magic. It's just one of those, you know how you simply have to have those earrings, or you simply have to have those crystals, you simply have to have this gratitude diary. It's just, it's pretty cool, very awesome. Right, what I did want to talk about is collective readings. So basically, we've let go of so much this year. I mean, you don't have to be a psychic or a genius or a nerd or an astrologer to know that we've all gone through very interesting transformations, and we've transformed our relationships, our friendships, ourselves, how we interact with family members, how we interact with exes that we have children with. All that has come under scrutiny this year, and it's been a hard slog. Like, it's really been difficult for so many different people on so many different levels. So it's quite reassuring. Look, I'm in two minds with this, really, because it's reassuring that 2019 is almost over and we made it and we're here. And then I think, fuck, it's only November. We've still got one more month. What on earth is the universe going to do to us for that last month to make sure that we're kept on our toes and we don't rest on our laurels while we're still in this 3 year, the year of putting all the seeds out and nurturing ourselves and understanding processes and studying ourselves so we can go into 2020, which is that 4 year, really starting to reap the benefits of all that hard work that we've done this year. So we're not out of the woods yet. I'm not even going to pretend to be out of the woods, okay? So, but it's coming to a head. Like, you can feel it. I've done, maybe 15 or 16 readings in the last couple of weeks, and everybody is in a similar sort of boat. They're dealing with very dishonest people. I don't know where. It's kind of like they've always been dishonest, but it hasn't really affected us. You know what I mean? And then the universe, Mother Earth, has just come along and gone with a spotlight, and all of these liars have just seemed to have come out of the woodwork, and it's fractured a lot of working environments and relationships, and it's triggered a lot of people. and it's frustrated, and it's betrayal and hurt and all of those really strong emotions that come with that dishonesty, because it's a sense of betrayal. Whether you're in love with the person or not, it's still a betrayal. And it removes any opportunity to trust. And if you're anything like me, once that trust is even stretched, you're on my watch list. And if I watch something and then you do something else, and it just breaks the trust altogether, and there's really no coming back from that for me. And I know that might seem a little bit judgy or a little bit harsh or a little bit hard-nosed, but I just reached this beautiful point in my life where everything is very calm and everything is very peaceful, and liars can remove all of that calm, peace, sanctuary feeling in one sentence. They can just remove it. They can really rattle everything that you've built, because it's just this lying is just unnecessary. Grow some balls and fucking say the truth. So it's there you just saw my frustration just even talking about the subject. So we've had to deal with a lot of liars, and it's really interesting that so many people, and I mean people from all over the world. I read for a lady in Denmark yesterday, and then there's a lady from Ireland and Canada and all sorts of places, and they're all experiencing similar issues with this dishonesty. And why am I getting so triggered about this now? Why can't I just take, like we did in the earlier part of the year, oh, here we go again. It's because we're being forced to deal with it in a different manner. And when we don't deal with it in a different manner, the universe just keeps chucking us that lesson until we go, right, I get it. I'm dealing with it. I'm going to find a way to deal with this once and for all. So I know that historically and from personal experience, I know that we're not out of the woodworks yet as far as that is concerned. So that, 28th of November, bring on the 1st of January, but we still need to get there first. So I know that we've got collectively, especially the spiritual events, we've got a beautiful team of people that are providing clarity and support and encouragement for lots of ranges of people, lots of different difficulties that we're all experiencing. I've certainly been doing a lot of very similar kinds of readings for people at the moment, where there's a lot of uncertainty, where they're just not sure about their relationships, their jobs, their lives, life in general. All those things that we need stability in are really very unstable for so many people at the moment. So we're almost there. And we've survived other years. 2015, oh my goodness, that was a year that none of us thought we were going to survive, but we did. And we're coming to the end of 2019, and we're going to survive this one too. So just hang in there. And if you're really stuck, come along and we'll have a reading together, and we'll see what else we can do, how we can give you some coping mechanisms, what spirit suggests that you do to get you through this period in your life. So it's really they're not just there to tell us who our boyfriend are and our girlfriend and how our relationships are going to go. Spirit have got an amazing ability to just be so truthful and so clear and so direct that and we don't always use that to our best advantage. So if you're interested in tapping into that, I'm definitely the girl for the job for you to do that with. So yeah, collective reading started already. What else can we do? So this is for a spiritual events directory. We're going to just do the community, okay? So everybody that's watching right now is how we're going to do this collective reading. Anybody that joins in later will need to see the reading for their own purposes. So the right people will see the reading irrespective of when you see it. And it'll mean something different for you as well. If things don't resonate now, check back in a couple of weeks. I know that the new moon is coming up to its first quarter, so that tends to knock a few people on an emotional level as well. So if you're feeling that way, come back and have another look at the reading in a couple of weeks and see how you're feeling about that. It is safe to trust what's going on at the moment. So whatever's going on in your life and you just feel that, fuck, really, I can assure you that, just trust in the universe. It kind of knows much, much more than we do. It knows much more than my spirit team does. I'm going to get kicked in the pants for that now, because they like to play with the ego too. It is safe to trust what's going on. It's safe to trust that we will get through this. So pretty much what I've just said, and the cards have backed it up. It's safe to trust. It's right there. Safe to trust. everything will be all right. You're going to get through this collectively. We've got each other as well. So, start up a post in this group, or, in your respective groups, and talk openly and honestly. The whole Me Too movement was because someone said, hey, this is happening to me, and somebody else said, me too. So we really have an opportunity to have our voices heard when we start sharing our stories, and giving people an opportunity to relate to us. I've certainly learned that over the last 12 months, when I've totally come out of my shell with my privacy and a lot of shame that I had around, growing up and relationships and past choices. And I've just let go of all of that, because we're human and shit. So what? Doesn't change who I am right now. I probably could have got here with less wrinkles and probably less grey hair, but so what? I mean, no one gets out alive. Fundamentally, no one gets out of here alive. Our bodies and our vessels will have an expiry date, and that's okay, because our soul will live on forever. So trust is a big thing here, guys. You can do it. Just really work through that. And when something just doesn't make sense to you, just say, universe, I know you understand more than I do, and thank you for this. Okay, so the universe is not going to put you in any sort of harm's way whatsoever. It'll put you in the right direction for whatever you signed up for this lifetime in your soul contract. Remember, that's your North Node in your astrology chart. There's reasons to celebrate coming up right around the corner, okay? So that's just a really nice thing. So happy announcements, changes in our lives. It's also like I just totally felt my shoulders lift then. So the weight is coming off us as we relax a little bit more into the energy that 2020 will bring, which is really nice. February, I don't know why I'm saying this, but my ear's itchy, so it must be right. February is going to be a big year, kind of like we're still haven't worked out it's a new year yet, okay, which is not unheard of, it's not unusual, but it's going to take us to around about that early February, 10th of February, 12th of February, around Valentine's Day, before we start to work out, okay, shit, yeah, we can do this. This is a different year, it's a different energy. The other thing that I will remind you or recommend that you do is not get in that mindset of shit, here we go again, it's another year, another this, another that, you wipe the slate clean. The 1st of January or the 31st of, I just got a card thrown at me. The 31st of December, they're interrupting me. The 31st of December, wipe the slate clean, start again. It's an opportunity, a New Year's resolution. Take that by the balls and say, okay, I'm going to, don't obviously have some fun stuff like skydiving and all those wonderful things that we want to do with New Year's resolutions, lose weight, eat healthier, quit smoking, whatever it is that you want to do. But chuck some stuff in it. Get your gratitude diary and write down in there some beautiful things about yourself that you're grateful for, that you cherish, that it's okay for you to take into the next year, because you trust that the universe knows that this is the way forward and everything will be all right. Now, the card that was the card that was thrown at me, I was sitting here minding my own business and I ignored them, so they threw a card at me, is the Queen of Raphael, and this is all about following your heart. Okay, so if you've had to do things out of duty this year, if you've had to do things that you've not necessarily felt 100% comfortable or confident or passionate about doing, 2020 is going to be the year that you're going to be able to voice anything that you need to get out of your system, and you need to move things forward, because you're going to start tapping into, to quote Jack Nicholson, of course, or his character, this is as good as it gets. And it gets better, but it's a mindset, it's a mind shift. And I was talking to someone recently about mindfulness, and they were talking about love and emotions, and I said, well, what part of love and emotion is mindfulness? Apparently that was a weird question to ask, but I thought it was a legitimate, logical question, because it doesn't say heartfulness, it's mindfulness. So being mindful of what we're saying to ourselves, being mindful of the choices that we're making, the perceptions that we have. And also, if we're in a really shitty environment, we don't have to tolerate that. We can put our hands up and call a timeout. I've done that twice today. Or we can move to something else. We can tackle it head on. We can be brave and say, this is enough now. I've had it. You're not treating me like this anymore. But it's a way of, it's an opportunity to grow and learn from it, okay? So by following your heart and by putting your passion out there, you're going to want to fiercely chase your passion and your heart, which means that you're going to have to put boundaries in place. And when you do that, that's when things start making more sense in your life, because you're being mindful about the things that you're thinking about. You're being mindful that this is a boundary. You're crossing that boundary now. You need to please stop doing that, because that makes me feel like this. Okay? People will hate your guts when you start doing it. If you've been doing it for a little while, you know that it's very uncomfortable to start with. And if you've been doing it for a little bit longer, or as long as what I've been doing it, it's absolutely no crime whatsoever. That's enough. You need to stop right now, because I'm getting annoyed. And, you know, it's okay to do that, you know. Time for celebration. Time for celebration. What else have we got? Oops, sorry, didn't mean to bump the microphone then, guys. A lot of new friendships coming in. That'll explain why we said goodbye to a lot of friendships this year. So many of us changed our friendship circles. People came and went overseas, moved away, just drifted apart, whatever the case may be. Friendship circles are changing and new friendships are coming in. So I won't read too much into that, because it will depend on where your personal years are. So remember that you're adding up your, like mine's the 26th of September. And then 2020. So you add up your date and your month, and then the current year, and that will give you what your personal year is all about. Bring it down to one digit. Get stuck with that, give me a holler, and we can do a numerology session with you. We can do it for the next couple of months, okay? So if you haven't already got a copy of Rebirth, the online magazine, there's also a hard copy. I'm such a hard copy person, but the online version looks absolutely amazing. So if you haven't seen it yet, do pop over and have a good look. It's got moonscopes and astroscopes in there, so it's for the next 3 months, along with a whole bunch of beautiful articles. But we can certainly have a look at what the common goal is. Seeing as though we're all going through similar things at the moment, the common goal for the next December, energy healings, all about healing, letting go of things, understanding why we're here. That's the collective reading, okay, guys? So we're all in this together. It's kind of, I was reading, I beg your pardon, I was watching something about 3D to 5D today. Yes, sweetheart. And 5-dimensional stuff, and a lot of that stuff that they're talking about we're already doing. Okay, they talk about the waves of people and how those people interact, and the awareness levels of the 5D people that have come through, the waves of people. It sounds like a little bit alien stuff, okay, so do choose your presenter when they do it. I do not know enough about it to just sit here and explain it. It is fast becoming an interesting topic for me, so give me a couple of months and I'll have a bit more of an idea of what's going on with the 5D stuff. But if you watch a few videos, or if you already watched a few videos and you are spiritually aware and you are aware of frequencies and people's energies and what people bring to the table, and how some people can just completely suck you dry of all of your energy, then you're already kind of aware of that 5D without really having it, that umbrella term of 5D on it, okay? So check it out. It was very interesting. But the fact that we're all going through similar things at the same time, or very similar times, says to me that we are all here to support one another and to help with that healing process. So it's really cool. Really, really cool. Okay. I love this. I was just catching up on some of the questions and some of the comments up here. Self-growth, unfortunately, showing us the hard way to find things out. Nicole, that is so true. It really is. But I was explaining to someone earlier, and I read this analogy years ago, and it's always stuck with me, is you take a chicken egg, and if you break a chicken egg from the outside, life is over. But you break a chicken egg from the inside, life has begun. And personal growth is really hard. It is hard because we're not just learning a new way of living, we're actually undoing all the conditioning that we've had before. And even if we grew up in beautiful environments and loving parents, their influences are actually on us. Sometimes it's harder growing up in an environment where you've got these beautiful, nurturing parents, because you don't want to disappoint them or hurt their feelings when that religion is not for you, or that way of life is not for you. Or I watched Bride and Prejudice recently, is a program in Australia if you're overseas, and this beautiful woman who wanted to marry a beautiful woman, but this particular lady had Italian parents, and it's just not their culture to do that. They didn't have a problem that their daughter loved somebody else that happened to be a woman. They just couldn't do the marriage thing, and it was really, I understood it culturally, but it was heartbreaking to watch because she's got beautiful parents. So, and she didn't want to disappoint them, but there had to come a point in her life where she chose for herself. So it's letting go of all those things that, are not who we want to be, who we feel we are. It can be a really difficult process. So, but the seed knows that if it wants to grow a plant, it wants to grow those flowers, it needs to crack open, it needs to break and strip it right down and expose itself so it can get all that sunlight and oxygen and water and to be able to grow. So it's freaking hard. It is hard to start with because you've got to deprogram all that stuff, good and bad. And then you've got to strip it back and strip back the labels that people have given you to be able to understand who you are. And sometimes you don't even know what questions to ask. I mean, it's not like we come with the manual and we go, oh, we're 28 years of age now, so we'll just have a look here. Oh, I see. So that makes perfect sense. I mean, the Akashic records are there. You can go and have a look. You do need to be quite clever in how you ask questions. Trust me. My first attempt was a monumental epic fail, but I got there in the end. But you can have little glimpses, and you can go to psychics and mediums and spiritual advisors and shamans and all that sort of stuff to be able to help you with that process. But I think the best part is when you go through it yourself, because it actually truly is your journey. You can look at those people in those industries for guidance and mentoring and a little bit of clarity to get you through the turbulence. But at the end of the day, I can't give you the recipe for your journey because it's yours, and I didn't sign up for your journey. So it's hard, but it's a shitload of fun once you get the hang of it, and once you like, you kind of need your ego to get you ambitious enough to want to do it, okay, and selfish enough to want to do it, and the ego is the driver for that. And then you realize that it's not so much you shedding the ego, it's that your willingness to compete is no longer there because you're comfortable with yourself to the point that you don't have to compete. So your ego never leaves. You just aren't consumed by it. You just aren't using that as your fight or flight mechanism. Caesar, that's naughty. Don't do it. Now his sister's joining in. Kids, what can you say? But I really like this card. Tell you why. It's a third eye. Everything about it is just stripped back. It's communication. So funny. I can get mad or I can laugh. And you know what? It doesn't make any difference which one I do. He's going to bloody do it anyway. So I may as well just enjoy the fact that he's being super naughty while I'm sitting here. I can't stop him. So back to this. Sorry, guys. That's hilarious. I've got tears in my eyes. It's so funny. This is about blue. It's about communication. It's about opening things up. It's about how we communicate with spirit, trusting the things that are coming through, trusting the interpretation of the things that are coming through. Kind of look like a bit of a blue mess, but when you have a closer look, there's some beautiful lines. There's a beard. There's a man. There's, clearly seeing what's going on, breaking things down. There's a bit of green and purple and pink in there as well. Lots of different things, okay, that all relates back to opening our third eye up and really trusting our intuition, which is not too far removed from what we've gathered so far. So, and using our intuition to trust ourselves to get through this next process. Really cool. It's a nice card. I'm going to pull another one from that. That's from the Sacred Power deck, which is a deck I picked up when I actually met Trish Rock in Canberra a couple of years back. And I met Trish Rock for the very first time there. And I tell you, if you ever get an opportunity to cuddle her, do so. She gives the most brilliant cuddles. You might want to introduce yourself to her first so you don't get arrested. But she's just a beautiful human being, really nice. Going for it. I'm going to choke the living crap out of him. Oh, I love this one too. Look at that. Sacred wisdom. Okay. Geometry. Seeing the patterns in things, understanding the matrix, bringing in the wisdom of the owl. Helicopter view. doing things by the moon as well. If you haven't really been into moon phases before, look up what the moon was doing when you were born. That's always a good way to start, because that is actually the moon that will resonate the most with you. So if you're born under a full moon, or under a harvest moon or wolf moon, or those sorts of things, okay, is what we're looking for, then you might be able to do your New Year's resolution on that moon, that wherever it comes in. So even though my birthday is the 26th of September, I was born under a full pre-number moon, I think it's called. And I always look for that moon, and that's when I do my New Year's resolution, because it's kind of like, yeah, here I am, baby. So hi, moon, let's go. It's really good for emotional stuff as well, because it's a rebirth of your emotional self. A little tip for you. I love the moon. Oh, now, interestingly enough, we've got the boundaries card too. So we've already discussed boundaries tonight. So it's all about making sure that people understand where we're sitting, what our expectations are. If your expectation is, I'll give you an example. When I separated from contestant number 1, because he was a rat bag, I made a promise to myself that I would never be abused, I would never be cheated on, and I would leave instantly if either of those two things happened. And I promised myself, because I don't break my promises, that if I was in that position, it would not matter if I had multiple children, no children, an empire, nothing would matter, nothing would keep me in that relationship. And when the opportunity came up that I found out that contestant number 2 had cheated on me, the first thing I said was, you need to come and explain this. And the second thing was, did you think I was joking? So I had a little 2-year-old son. It was very difficult. It was hard because it's easy to make those sorts of promises when you don't have children, but when you chuck a little wee dot into the equation, you kind of think about the family unit for them. In this case, it was really easy for me because I came from a really dysfunctional family unit, and I thought, well, I will be raising my son in a dysfunctional family unit, and that's not going to happen. So even though the dysfunction was a different level, it was still dysfunctional. So it was still going to escalate. I couldn't date somebody else. I wouldn't be able to move on with my life, or, try to create a family unit for my son. There needed to be a physical separation from his father. So, you have to make promises. And when you make promises to yourself, you need to back those up. And that was one of my non-negotiable boundaries, was just, no, if you lie to me or you cheat or you abuse me, I'm out. And it's tough because it was a spiritual growth thing for me. I was 32, almost 33 years of age. So I was still relatively new to all of this sort of stuff, and not the spiritual side, but boundary setting in particular. So, it was hard. It really is hard on that personal journey. So, yeah. Melissa Ireland's got a truckload of lessons. Truckload, fuckload. I'm hearing you, girlfriend. It's just been, it's been crazy. It has been crazy, but, collectively we're getting there. We're having a really a whole range of, and you're not going to believe this. So not only did we get energy healer, where's that camera? We also got healer. Okay, so we're healing others. We're healing others. Okay, we're helping others on their path. We're doing that by talking with them, by sitting with them, by giving them our energy within boundaries. Okay, don't give. It needs to be a two-way street. And we're also, the healer. So we're giving others and helping ourselves and healing others along the journey. That's really lovely. So we are all brought together for different reasons, So a powerhouse of people in this group. And every time somebody comes in and, a new person comes along and I say, here's my first time reading, or my first time watching, or first time in the spiritual events directory, they'll come and observe and get ideas from us, and then we're able to, give them a bit of direction on what to expect next. And it's really cool to be able to do that in such a supportive environment. So, yeah. Jess has said, yes, something came up during the healing. Self-talk is a strong energy at the moment. Absolutely. And it's just it's so easy to fall into that trap of listening to the opinions of others and allowing them to impact on our path and our thought patterns. And I just started touching my depression meridian right in between my boobs, if you remember from one of my previous recordings. And so it's the thing that makes us sad and makes us, feel worthless and vulnerable and all those sorts of things. So our walls go up and we stop feeling vulnerable. We don't have a safe environment in which to feel vulnerable. And that sort of gets us on this little hamster wheel of how to protect ourselves, protect. But then we build this wall up so much that nobody can actually penetrate it. So the only way through that is by self-talk, by saying it's okay, I'm okay. I remember contestant number 1, who's very violent. I had to lock myself in the toilet one night to get away from him. I locked myself in the toilet and I sat on the back of the door with my back up against it, and I had my feet on the toilet, on the bottom bowl of the toilet. I'm smiling now because I survived. I'm here. It's okay. And I pushed my feet. I was just tall enough, thank God. If I had been, a little half an inch shorter, I think I would have been in strife. But I had my feet on the bottom of the bowl and my back, pushing my back up against that door, and he was coming through it. I was so scared. And just to drown out his screaming and his threats and everything he said he was going to do once he got his hands on me, I just started saying, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. And that became my mantra for years, every time I got in that similar situation. And it's a good memory to have, because not because it happened, but because I'm still sitting here now. It's because I'm not ashamed to tell my story that I was victim of child abuse, domestic abuse, domestic violence, and all those sorts of things. I'm not ashamed to say that. It was a part of the journey that had to get me here. Sucked balls at the time, but if that's on them, their behavior's on them. It's not on me. So it's social awareness, spiritual awareness, spiritual growth, personal growth, all those sorts of things. It's a tricky one, but we learn from it. We absolutely learn from it. And really, there is absolutely no motherfucker on this earth that would ever break me ever again, because I make promises to myself every time I learn a new lesson that, my boundaries shift and my boundaries change. And, dishonesty, I might have let a little white lie go in previous relationships. That was done at the end of the first relationship. So, as soon as the second person did that little lie, end of story, they're out, see you later, do not pass go, do not collect $200, we're done. So and then the third person, he did the same thing, and I thought, okay, well that's not on. And I really truly deeply loved contestant number 3, so much more than I loved contestant number 2. So that was heartbreaking, but my promise to myself is my promise to myself, and I have to have those boundaries in place. I have to have those self-talk moments where I say, listen here, girl, you made a promise to yourself. You can't live like this anymore. You deserve more. So pull your finger out and get on with it. So, yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult, but it's so freaking worth it. I promise you it's worth it. We are here, Lorraine. Absolutely. Supporting each other is the key. Michelle, so true. We're just there. It's just different. Okay. It's very years ago we kept even in the 70s and 80s, people were getting, well, take me, use me as an example. I got beaten as a child and I lost my hearing, and there were adults that knew what had happened. Nobody protected me. Nobody removed me from that environment. Nobody got the coppers involved. Nobody got a doctor involved. Nobody did anything to protect me or my siblings. Nobody. Because you just didn't talk about those sorts of things in those days. You just don't. Everyone ignores it, okay? Because if you ignore something, it goes away. No, it doesn't. They grow up and have very dysfunctional relationships, and it takes a long time for them to understand that they are not a worthless piece of shit, that they're a very important person and they bring a lot to the table, and someone is going to take all their broken pieces and meld them back together with gold. And that's just going to be an amazing moment when you realize that. you're not a product of your environment. So it's it's just we have to learn from each other. We can't be taboo anymore. We need to talk about our stories and share our stories. And I think the greatest gift for me really was when I worked in the community sector, and I came from an environment where you just do not share your story. No one gives a shit. Okay, no one literally gives a shit. And then I went to community sector where it was very important to share your story, and everyone sat around, and I actually had a bit of a giggle because the first 3 months I said, oh, here we go again, sitting around holding hands, singing Kumbaya. And you know what? It actually brought me out of my shell more, because I realized that as bad as my story might sound, there's always someone that's not necessarily in a competitive, light. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying, but everyone's got their own challenges. And, for somebody from a very rich, wealthy family, their challenge might be the fact that they couldn't buy their way into university. Now, for 20% of the world, that might seem absolutely ludicrous because they don't even know where the next meal's coming from. But for that child, that's a serious problem for them, because it's their dream. It's relative to their situation. Okay, so we can't just say, oh, rich spoiled brat didn't get to do what they want. Big deal. Daddy didn't have enough money, because it's a challenge for them. It's relative to them. So it's we have to be mindful of that when we're looking at situations and how we view situations. So it's yeah. All right. Jacqueline, he just wanted to have his day. Are you talking about my puppy? He used to come to all of my readings. Like, he would sit next to me and make an absolute shit of himself and stand on me. Now, see those 52 kilos worth of German Shepherd, and he's looking at me now, you cheeky little mongrel. So, and he used to come and stand on me. And there's a lady that comes along to some of my lives called Ruby, and I sent her a picture of Ghost Dog one night, because he came right up and he blocked all the light out, and it looked like he had like a little bit of a halo behind him, and there's a big buff head. He's got a head on him like a Rottweiler and German Shepherd, but that big buff grizzly bear size, and and he just looked like Ghost Dog. So then we coined the term Ghost Dog, and he did the next few readings for me, which was absolutely hilarious. I just kept the photo on him and did the reading in the background with my voice. So it was, yeah, he likes to be heard, that's for sure. Okay, let's see. Our new Thursday night. Well, I wanted to try something different, Melissa. It's the Warrior Chronicles did not start out to be pure readings, and I know that a lot of people really need those readings, and I'm still giving them. I still give the readings, absolutely, in private readings, and I'll do a few here and there, and but I really want to get back to that advocating for self-growth and self-help, and giving you as much tips as I possibly can to be able to get you in that place where your quality of life is where you see quality of life, not where what everybody else thinks a quality of life looks like. So yeah. All right, let's have a look. June 9 is waxing crescent illumination 20%. Beautiful, Lorraine. I love how quick you get onto these things. You're a bit of a researcher, aren't you? Very cool, very cool. Lorraine, I've had the same lessons that you have, left with 2 babies to raise on my own. And you know what? There are just moments, I just got goosebumps all over. There are moments when you think, how am I going to get through this? Like, really? Some people do it with 4 kids. Some people do it with 5 kids. I struggled to do it with 1 child because I absolutely had nobody. I had no friends, no family, obviously. And I worked full time, and I worked very, very long hours because I had a boss that was a narcissist, and I was terrified that if I didn't work those long hours, she would find a way to get rid of me, and then I wouldn't be able to provide for my son and keep a roof over his head. So all these sorts of things. So obviously when I left that job, I promised myself I would never work for a narcissist, and I stayed at the next job for 8 months, and she was a narcissist, so guess what, see you later. And then we got to move to Sydney, where we are very, very happy. So narcissists have can be a blessing sometimes. They have a purpose to propel us along our path. So yeah, it's crazy. We just somehow, and I don't want to be, gender biased, because there's a lot of single dads doing amazing jobs as well. I think it comes down to yin yang energy, masculine, feminine energy, and I don't think that's got anything to do with gender. Okay, I provided for my son by working really hard. I threw myself into a masculine way of coping with that. Some mums go, that's it, I'm just going to stay home and I'm going to look after these kids and give them absolutely everything possible. I'm going to nurture them, be very maternal. And hats off to you, because I would struggle personally to be able to do that, because I didn't know what nurturing was. I never got any. So my son is an extremely independent, beautiful young man, but he's but I'm not the nurturer in the relationship. I'm the disciplinarian. I'm the one that says, come on, mate, let's go, pick yourself up, let's go again. There's a level of nurturing there, but it's done in a masculine way, because I just don't know how to do it in a feminine manner. I just don't. Mind you, if you make a tear even well up in his eye, I will be the furious mama bear that we're all very capable of doing. So it's just that it's, nurturing is just not something that came naturally to me when he was younger. It just didn't. And I'll be the first to admit that that's just how it is. I don't have any I used to have a little bit of guilt around it, but then the more I understood myself, and the more I understood that, okay, so nurturing is not something that's just inbuilt, it's something that we learn. Who did I learn it from? Oh, fuck, no one. So what is nurturing? I didn't learn it from my next 3 partners. I learned it from Terry. I learned it from my adopted dad. I learned it from some of my friends, taught me about nurturing and gentleness and that sort of stuff. And it's been a long time, and I feel now, in my 40s, coming into my mid 40s, I've got the hang of nurturing. So, I'm able to have that different relationship with my son now than what I was capable of when he was younger. So, I threw myself into the masculine side of protecting my son, doing what I could from a masculine point of view. And I'm very comfortable with that. I didn't roll over and play dead. I didn't give up. I didn't turn to drink or alcohol or drugs, or dump in with someone and take off every weekend or anything like that. I did it all by myself, and I'm very proud of that. I just didn't do it from a normal mum point of view. So it's interesting, isn't it? We're all so different. It's just very cool. New Zealand was here in New Zealand. Oh, Trees is back. Hello, darling. All right. They're like a lot like herself, like Trees, yeah. You know what? They are. Lived it and left and survived to get on to better things. Gloria, we do. This is it. They hurt like a motherfucker. And we're so uncertain. But you know what? I've got to give it to us chicks. We're fucking resilient. Like, we don't know what we're made of until you force us into a corner. And, sometimes we put frozen veggies with chicken noodles. But that never went without. We did the best we could. And sometimes, we were pushing shit up a hill, absolutely pushing shit up a hill, but we did it. And, the sisterhood that we're building and the way the world is starting to understand, especially in our bracket, like our age bracket, how we interact with others. Do a lot of mistrust there with some females in particular, but we're getting the hang of supporting one another and realizing that, just because I only had one child, or I only had this, or you only had that, doesn't mean that our journeys are any different. It just means that the circumstances were different. We still have the same trials and tribulations, very much like, the 20% of the people that don't know where the next meal is coming from, and the child that comes from a wealthy family. It's all relative, isn't it? It's what you do and what you deal with, and what you make of it, really, isn't it? How you perceive that. And it sucks balls and it's hard. And there's days where you just think, fuck's sake. But you get up and you keep going. And that's what I think, from a feminine point of view, from the divine feminine point of view, we're just so resilient. We're just so freaking tough. And it breaks my heart when we think about, someone's taken our power from us, but we gave it to them. We allowed that to happen by not having those strong boundaries, by not saying, hey, listen here, motherfucker, I don't think so. You need to take yourself back, and you're not going to talk to me like that. And obviously, there's some people that we can't say that to because they do like to put their hand on us. But that will become less and less, the more as women, as a whole entire gender, start standing up for ourselves as collective and just say that's enough now. We're not going to take that anymore. We are getting better. All right. Hello from the UK. Hello, Rachel. I've seen you before. I can feel your energy too. Back then we didn't have shelters. Gloria, you know what? It's very different these days. It's very different. And it's just, yeah. And, in my security days, I've worked security. I have my own security business for a while. And another way of sticking it to them. And the shelters there were, just a shelter. They weren't really set up to help women or help kids or provide coping mechanisms. They were just shelters. So we've come a long, long way. But how you girls did it back then, I'll never bloody know. But yeah, you did it. You've got functioning adults, and it's got to take your hat off to that. That's a whole other level of bravery that you all had to go through. Melissa, you actually gave me the courage to lay boundaries. My big heart doesn't know any better. That's just shit. I know, you know what? It's but you get there. You just, once that first boundary comes out, actually it's not even the first boundary. Setting a boundary is the easy part, and it's dealing with the backlash. When people realize that you can't be pushed around anymore, when people realize that when no means no, and no really means no, and they just think, well, aren't you a bitch, or you're stubborn. I've been called a lesbian, angry dyke, actually was the exact expression. I'm not an angry anything, thank you. I'm not a lesbian. I'm married to a man, but I was called an angry dyke because I said no. And that was an acceptable behavior. And if you wanted to behave like that, you needed to take yourself away. So that all of a sudden made me an angry dyke. So, which I had a bit of a chuckle about, because I thought about it later, and it was, I think the gravity of the situation got me later, not in an upset manner, but how quickly that person tried to break me down, so to make me vulnerable and make me feel weak and unsafe. And the only way they could do that was to attack my emotion, angry, and to attack my way of living, or what they considered my way of living was gay and lesbians have been a minority for such a long time. Obviously that's changed now, which is beautiful. But that person just went from listening to me saying no in a boundary to you angry dyke, and I'm like, well, that's a nice way to break me down, and that didn't work, so you can fuck off. So, and then I actually became that angry person because I put my boundaries in place even tougher. So it's not the actual boundary, it's getting it out, and the backlash that you cop, because you will get called every name under the sun. And the people that do that, the people that struggle with the boundaries, they will test you, and you just have to be resilient. You have to promise yourself, stand in front of the mirror, look yourself straight in the eye and say, this is my boundary. I'm not negotiable on this boundary at all, and talk yourself into that. That's that self-talk. You can do it. It's not the boundary. It just dawned on me then, it's not the boundaries that we have trouble with, it's the backlash after. So, yeah. All right. Katina, my little egghead, has a German Shepherd. We've got two, a boy and a girl. Our girl is this absolute psycho, but she's a sweetheart when I'm on the phone, because she's just very well behaved when she's not being a psycho. But our boy, he's just he's very naughty. He's very naughty. That motorbike is from a man that lives up about 6-7 houses away. It's plastic fantastic. It's Kawasaki. And I will get even with him because I have a big Harley Davidson with big Vance and Hines pipe, and I will go and rev my motorcycle past his house on Sunday morning because I can. So, Kylie Kelly, I feel you too. My past has been to hell and back, but lessons learned. I love you too, sweetheart. Yeah. And I was talking to someone. Kylie presented a really interesting, take on things. Somebody said to me, that babies present unconditional love, and I'm like, what? They scream their fucking tits off until you give them what they want, and they learn to do different cries. They train you to listen to different cries and different things to manipulate you to get you to do what they want. They emotionally manipulate you because you love them. You want to do things for them. Oh, that's the poo. That's the poo cry. This is the upset cry. This is I want to cuddle cry. This is the attention cry, and we do it. Okay, the children and babies are not unconditionally loving us. Okay, they're emotionally manipulating us, and they're bloody masters at it because they're just so cute. But that aside, if we're not taught nurturing, if we're not taught love, if we're not taught, like, everyone talks about self-love, but what the fuck is that? I mean, what does that even mean? Self-love. Does that mean I kiss myself in the mirror every single morning? How you going, sugar? Or is it the way I talk to myself? What does self-love mean? And, I would say do the 5 languages of love, learn about yourself and how you perceive love to be. Is it quality time together? Take yourself out on dates. Is it acts of service? Do nice things for yourself. So those sorts of things, that's self-love, okay? It's not that ego-tripping thing that we all got, teased about in high school from our colleagues and our friends, because that's not self-love, okay? It's very, very different. If you loved yourself back then, you're up yourself. It's not the case. We've taken the bogan factor out of it, okay? So, but it's not something that comes naturally to us. We're actually taught it. And if we're not taught it, or we're taught it that it comes by having sex, or that it comes if somebody has to pick a fight with you first, and there's a control measure like make-up sex, those sorts of things, or nurturing is something that only happens if you super cry, or if you do cry, someone tells you to knock it off, or they'll give you something to cry about. They might think that that's their idea of nurturing, but it's not nurturing at all. I did a little past life regression, or a early life regression with a healer called Arthur a little while ago, and he asked me to explain what I could visualize in my mind, and I told him that I was a black and white baby, just had a nappy on, I was sitting on the concrete floor, I had no toys around me, there was nothing around me, I was just by myself. And he said, but how did you feel? And I'm like, well, as an adult, I can understand that I probably felt abandoned. And he said, no, but how did you feel? And I said, well, as an adult. He goes, no, but how did you feel? I was a baby. I hadn't been taught how to feel. I hadn't been taught emotions. I could cry, no one would come. I could scream, I got in trouble. I cried once, I got beaten as a baby. So I learned coping mechanisms to self-soothe, to not do all those sorts of things. I didn't know what emotions were because no one taught me. So it's not the fact that I was disconnected from my emotion, because I understood how that baby might be feeling as an adult interpretation. But when I looked at myself from that baby's perspective, I didn't know what those feelings were because I hadn't been taught. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. We're not born automatically understanding these things, and it's really hard to you have to really want to be able to understand yourself and your personal growth and your spiritual growth, and to be able to nurture yourself and work out what nurturing means for you. It is not something that comes natural. It's just not, okay? So it's really hard, but it's a cool journey, because once you get it, you're so naughty. I'm almost finished. Yeah, you little bugger. So once you get it, though, it's kind of like you don't take it for, not that, yeah, I'm going to say it, it's like you don't take it for granted because you've had to work so hard to get it, to understand what nurturing is, and you just love it. And, it's, I kiss my dogs on their nose. I grab them by the chops and kiss them on their nose and tell them that I honor them and that I love them. And, some people might think that's really crazy, but this isn't something, nurturing was not something that I had. I didn't just give birth to my son and I had this natural maternal nurture mechanism going on. It's something I had to learn over a number of years, that he helped me learn, and that the pups helped me learn, and the crazy lorikeet helped me learn. Different levels of nurturing my different babies in my family need different ways of me showing them that love. And I've learned and evolved and cracked some things open. I've had to peel a lot of me back and be really raw to be able to get to that point, but it's so worth it. Like it's amazingly worth it. And which is why I can sit here and laugh about that time I got beaten, or that time he threatened to kill me, or that time he did this, or because I've let go of all of that. That's their shame, that's their karma, that's their problem. It's not mine, and I'm not going to give them free space in my head. So yeah, we absolutely did it. Lee Wild wants to know, we're out of time, but Lee Wild would like to know, were you always intuitive as a child, or did that open up late in life? You know what, Lee, I was always intuitive as a child. I'm pretty sure that they came through to keep me safe. I'm nothing like anybody in my family. This is not a hereditary or a genetic gift that I do. I brought it through from my past lives. I think that I signed up because I've got a North Node in Libra, and I've got about 6 or 7 placements that says that I was here to break down barriers and walls and get things moving and grooving. I honestly feel that I chose the parents that I chose to be able to break the ancestral line of child molestation, to abuse, violence, alcoholism, bipolar, all those sorts of issues that are right the way through those two people in particular, and the way they conducted themselves towards others, each other, their children, those sorts of things. So none of that will ever happen from this point forward. And I am one fucking tough cookie. So they didn't break me. They tried their bloody best. And she still tries to get in, but she's just not welcome. I don't have any contact with them, and I will never have any contact with them. They may as well be dead. So and I'm okay with that. And they're not nice people. Why on earth would you want to welcome them back into your life? So all of that buck stopped here, and it stopped with me. So I had a very clear purpose, and I came in and I fulfilled that purpose, and I've checked off all my to-do list for that, and now I get to reap the benefits. And I've had spirit with me that entire time, guiding me, teaching me, keeping me safe, talking me out of killing myself, all sorts of things. Okay, so certainly not something that opened up later in life. I've always grown with it. It's not an awakening and then you stay there forever. It does get more enhanced. You get cooler tricks and cooler things that come along. You're able to interpret differently the more you practice and the more you do things. So I'm getting really bloody clever at understanding what they do to me. But it's just, something I've always had. I can't remember a time when I have not had spirit around me, so at all, right from very early tiny age. And all of my memories are outside of my body. So I know that there were some times where I needed to leave my body so that I didn't have the traumatic stress disorders and things like that associated with what was going on with my body. So, very interesting life I've had. So, but it's been a hell of a lot of fun, fucking really hard, but a hell of a lot of fun, and I wouldn't change anything at all. So yeah, really cool. All right, guys, I've gone over. Sarah will choke the living crap out of me. Melissa Ireland, I do birth charts, absolutely. Vicky, I'm not doing live readings tonight, my darling. You're welcome to flick me over a private message. I can do a 15-minute. You only need a 15-minute for you, okay? Because I know exactly what your concern is. There's 15-minute tarot and interpretation. If you choose that on my website, I will be able to tap straight in, no mucking around, and you know that I speak super fast. So we'll get through lots in 15 minutes. And that goes for everybody here that's watching. So, yeah. There's a lot to do. So I reckon we'll do something like this, every Thursday night, and just until we start feeling better about ourselves. And if you do want to come on, and because I can pop you on the screen as well, and we can have this conversation and share a few things, and put your hand up and let me know, and I'm happy to do that. This is the Warrior Chronicles. Is back to being the Chronicles, and I'm so bloody happy about it. Thank you all very much for your support. I've had an absolute blast just waffling and talking to you all and getting things out and letting you know that we're all in this crazy human experience together. So, yeah, you guys are great. Thank you very, very, very much. I'll see you tomorrow night for Astroscope right here on the Spiritual Events Directory. Thanks, guys. See you later.